Gaming is a term that many people have come to either love or hate. For some, it's a way to relax and let out anger. And for others, it corrupts children, ruins lives, and brainwashes all the people that play them. Well, that was extreme. It can be hard for people to see why people like gaming so much. I mean, some games explore things that you can easily do in the real world, like mowing grass. I mean, seriously, why does this game exist? But to me, gaming is awesome, and it's something that I love doing. Some people love gaming so much that they spend their days slaving away making a new game that hopefully pulls in a bunch of players, and in turn pulls in a bunch of money. Unfortunately, not all games do this, and some games end up becoming a huge flop. So today, we are going to be going over some of the biggest gaming flops in the recent years. Number 5. So at number 5, we got No Man's Sky. The concept was great. I mean, who doesn't want to explore space with all your friends? But it had its issues. One issue was the fact that it wasn't enticing enough to keep up with other games in the space genre, like Destiny. Destiny was a polished sci-fi game that also allowed you to play with your friends and explore different planets. Not to mention, even LeBron James played Destiny. And I know what you're probably thinking. How does this affect LeBron's legacy? Well, it doesn't, but I just thought it'd be a fun tidbit to add into the video. Another issue was the servers were also really buggy at launch, and for some it was downright unplayable. No Man's Skies must have figured it out because there seems to be a small resurgence of the game. Who knows, maybe it'll be more popular than Starfield, though I highly doubt it. Number 4. For number 4, I have Fallout 76. Fallout 76 might be one of the most surprising games on the list, as the previous games in this series were very successful, with Fallout 4 selling over 13 million copies. So why did Fallout 76 flop so hard? Well, to keep it short, feature creep and greed. Fallout 76 kept adding new features and additions to boost sales, when they should have looked at why their game wasn't selling to their old customers. And it was quite simple. The old customers wanted a similar experience to the old games. At the launch, there were almost no human NPCs that you could interact with. And with a poor story, it wasn't very intriguing enough for new customers, let alone the old ones. Since then, Fallout has not released another game, and it seems like Bethesda, the company that made Fallout, is having a fallout of themselves. That was terrible. I'm really sorry. Now that you've endured my terrible jokes, I think it's time to talk about number 3. So, for number 3, I'm putting Duke Nukem Forever. Duke Nukem Forever was a continuation of the Duke Nukem series. It was met with very harsh criticism and reviews at launch. Some of the main issues were outdated graphics, poor humor, and a simplistic story. I mean, how good could a game actually be when the opening scene is a character peeing in a urinal? No joke, that is actually the first thing you see when you open up the game. The game obviously didn't meet the expected sale mark, but the company Take-Two Interactive still claims it was profitable, so maybe it wasn't too much of a flop, but I'll let you be the judge of that one. Number 2. So for this one, it could have been switched with number 5, but I put it here because it's a bigger name, and I just wanted you to hear about this huge name and why it flopped. And it's a bit controversial, and I played this game actually, and really liked it. But it had some underlying issues at launch that really hurt its overall performance, and that's why I consider it a big flop. You're probably wondering what this game is, and for number 2, I have Cyberpunk 2077. Now, before you say anything, let me explain. The launch of this game was horrendous, and it was even pushed back due to how bad it was. Some people just stopped playing the game until it was fixed, because the problems were so bad. Luckily, the game had a huge budget. I mean, they even made a new band to make the soundtrack. This huge budget allowed Cyberpunk to spend a bunch of money fixing all the issues that the people might have had. Since launch, the game has sold a lot more copies, but that terrible launch is what earned it its spot at number 2. Before we get into number 1, I want to bring up some honorable mentions. One of these honorable mentions is Anthem, which was shut down within 15 months, and quite honestly, I wish it hadn't. Anthem was promised to be an expansive, open-world game with an incredible story, but like many games, it fell short at launch, and was shut down pretty fast. Daikatana was another flop that featured outdated graphics and outdated audio. Another gaming flop was Aliens Colonial Marines, and honestly, I can see exactly why this game flopped, because it had poor graphics and the story strayed too far from the original franchise, which is like a cult classic, so a big no-no. One last honorable mention was the game E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and I know you're thinking about the movie from the 80s, but this game isn't nearly as successful. I know some people might argue that these honorable mentions should replace other things on the list, but I wanted to fill the list with semi-big names that were newer and grabbed more attention. But all of these games have something in common that almost everyone can agree with. They're all flops. This takes us to number 1, and the number 1 gaming flop is not actually a game. It's Google Stadia. Google Stadia is one of the worst ideas in the market, but not all of it was entirely their fault. What I mean by this is that the tech was actually really good. It was designed for streaming in mind and utilized cloud gaming, which in theory sounds amazing. I mean, being able to play on any available screen sounds like an incredible idea. But cloud gaming proved to be not as practical as it seemed. After about 2 years, Stadia closed down and refunded their customers for all of their purchases because it couldn't keep up with the competition of other consoles. Because the people that wanted to play games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Minecraft, and more have already had a console or PC, rendering Stadia useless just because it released too late. But just because Stadia closed down doesn't mean that nothing came of it, as PlayStation purchased OnLive, which was part of Stadia's tech, to help PlayStation cloud gaming efforts. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing, as it would help me so much. And if you don't, I'll come over to your house and kick down your trash can. You've been warned. Good day.